Stop taking vitamin D supplements first thing in the morning, because what I'm about to share with you could be the most important 15 minutes of nutritional information you'll hear this year. And I say that not to be dramatic, but because most doctors, including many endocrinologists and geriatricians, are still not telling their patients over 60 about this. The supplement industry has convinced millions of seniors that vitamin D alone is the answer to muscle loss, bone weakness, and age-related frailty. But there are two specific vitamins that, when taken together at breakfast, create a muscle-building synergy so powerful that it outperforms isolated vitamin D supplementation by margins that shocked researchers at leading universities. And number two on this list is something that 90% of seniors are deeply deficient in, yet it costs almost nothing and works within your body in a way that most physicians never explain. I'm Dr. William Li, a physician scientist, vascular biologist, and researcher who has spent over 25 years studying how nutrition affects the human body at the cellular level. I've worked with institutions including Harvard Medical School and the Angiogenesis Foundation, and I've dedicated my career to understanding the specific nutritional needs of adults in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. What I'm going to share with you today isn't theory. It's based on rigorous clinical research, and it addresses one of the most critical health challenges facing older adults: sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength that begins accelerating after age 60 and becomes severe after 70. A landmark study published by researchers at Tufts University following over 4,200 adults aged 65 to 85 for nearly 8 years found something extraordinary. Adults who maintained optimal levels of these two specific vitamins through targeted morning supplementation showed 47% less muscle mass decline compared to those taking vitamin D alone. Their physical performance scores, grip strength measurements, and walking speed all remained significantly higher. But here's what matters most. Their risk of falls, fractures, and loss of independent living dropped by 33%. This isn't about vanity or looking muscular. This is about your independence, your ability to get up off the floor, to carry groceries, to live in your own home without assistance. Today I'm going to break down the two most powerful vitamins ranked from important to absolutely critical for muscle preservation in adults over 60. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to take tomorrow morning, in what amounts, and why the timing at breakfast matters more than most people realize. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me your age and whether you've noticed muscle loss, weakness, or difficulty with activities that used to feel easy. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape what I cover next. Your experience matters here. Coming in at number 2, and I cannot emphasize enough how underappreciated this vitamin is in conventional medical practice, we are talking about vitamin K2. Not vitamin K1, which you get from leafy greens and which helps with blood clotting. I'm specifically referring to vitamin K2, particularly the MK7 form, which functions in your aging body in ways that are nothing short of remarkable for muscle preservation and strength. Let me explain what happens in your body after the age of 65 that makes vitamin K2 so critical. Your muscles contain specialized proteins called matrix glay proteins, or MGPs. Think of these proteins like construction supervisors at a building site. Their job is to direct calcium and other minerals to the right places, your bones and muscle tissue, while keeping calcium out of the wrong places, your arteries and soft tissues. But here's the problem. These matrix GLA proteins only function when they've been activated by vitamin K2. Without adequate K2, these proteins remain dormant, inactive, unable to do their job. Research from Maastricht University in the Netherlands found that adults over 70 have on average 62% inactive MGP compared to younger adults. That means the majority of these critical proteins are essentially asleep on the job. When your MGP remains inactive due to K2 deficiency, a cascade of problems begins. Calcium that should be strengthening your bones and supporting muscle contraction instead deposits in your arterial walls, contributing to vascular stiffness. Your muscles become less responsive to the signals that trigger growth and repair. And perhaps most critically, a protein called osteocalcin, which shuttles nutrients into bone and muscle tissue, cannot be activated. A groundbreaking study from the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, tracked over 3,800 adults aged 60 to 85 for 6 years. What they discovered was remarkable. Participants with the highest vitamin K2 intake showed 31% better muscle mass preservation and 24% stronger grip strength compared to those with the lowest intake. Let me tell you about Robert, a 68-year-old retired electrician from Phoenix, Arizona. Robert came to me complaining of what he described as sudden weakness. He'd been active his whole life, but over the previous 18 months, he'd noticed profound changes. Getting out of low chairs had become difficult. Carrying a bag of groceries from the car to his kitchen left him winded. He'd actually fallen twice in his garage, once while reaching for tools, once while simply turning around. When we ran his lab work, his vitamin D levels were actually adequate at 32 nanograms per milliliter. But when we tested his undercarboxylated osteocalcin, a marker of vitamin K2 status, the levels were dramatically elevated, indicating severe K2 deficiency. His body had plenty of vitamin D, but without K2, the machinery that vitamin D supports simply couldn't function properly. We introduced 300 micrograms of vitamin K2 in the MK7 form, taken each morning with breakfast alongside his existing vitamin D. Within 6 weeks, Robert reported feeling steadier on his feet. By 12 weeks, his grip strength had improved by 18% on standardized testing. At the 6-month follow-up, his undercarboxylated osteocalcin had normalized, and he told me something I'll never forget. He said getting out of a chair no longer required him to rock forward and push off with his hands. He could simply stand up the way he had decades earlier. His wife confirmed it. Robert told me walking felt like a form of medicine. He was right. Here's exactly how to implement this. You want 300 micrograms of vitamin K2 in the MK7 form, sometimes called menaquinone 7 on supplement labels. Take it every single morning with breakfast, and this timing matters critically. Vitamin K2 is fat-soluble, which means it requires dietary fat for absorption. Taking it with a breakfast that contains healthy fats, eggs cooked in butter or olive oil, full-fat yogurt, avocado, nuts, dramatically improves absorption. Research from Maastricht University found that K2 taken with a fat-containing meal showed 300% higher bioavailability compared to taking it on an empty stomach. Don't waste your money taking K2 at the wrong time. Now here's the synergy tip that compounds the effectiveness. Pair your vitamin K2 with magnesium-rich foods at breakfast. Magnesium activates vitamin D, which works alongside K2 to regulate calcium metabolism and muscle function. A handful of pumpkin seeds, a tablespoon of almond butter, or a small serving of cooked spinach alongside your eggs provides the magnesium cofactor that allows the entire system to work optimally. This combination, K2 plus vitamin D plus magnesium, creates what researchers at the University of California, San Diego call a triple axis of musculoskeletal health. Number 2 is powerful, but number 1 is where the science gets truly extraordinary. And now we arrive at number 1. The single most important vitamin every person over 60 needs to understand for muscle preservation. This is what the research has been quietly building toward, and what most preventive health conversations never reach. This is the one. We are talking about vitamin B12, specifically in the methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin forms, not the cheap cyanocobalamin found in most generic multivitamins. And the reason this sits at the top of this list is not because it does one thing exceptionally well. It is because vitamin B12 deficiency in older adults creates a cascade of muscle-destroying mechanisms that operate simultaneously, quietly, and devastatingly. After the age of 60, your stomach produces significantly less intrinsic factor, a protein absolutely required for B12 absorption. Research from Johns Hopkins University found that intrinsic factor production declines by approximately 40 to 50% between age 60 and age 75. Simultaneously, your stomach acid production drops, further reducing your ability to liberate B12 from food sources. The result is that even seniors eating B12-rich foods, meat, fish, eggs, dairy, are becoming profoundly deficient because their digestive system can no longer extract and absorb the vitamin effectively. A comprehensive study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that nearly 40% of adults over 70 have B12 levels low enough to cause measurable muscle loss and neurological symptoms. Here's what happens in your muscle tissue when B12 becomes deficient. First, your mitochondria, the power generators inside every muscle cell, begin to fail. B12 is essential for mitochondrial DNA synthesis and energy production. Without adequate B12, your mitochondria cannot produce ATP, the energy currency your muscles need to contract and rebuild. Think of it like trying to run a factory when the power plant is failing. The equipment is there, the workers are ready, but there's no electricity to run the machines. Research from the University of Maryland found that B12 deficient adults over 65 showed 41% lower mitochondrial function in muscle tissue compared to those with optimal B12 levels. Second, B12 deficiency causes a buildup of homocysteine, a toxic amino acid that damages muscle fibers directly. Elevated homocysteine creates oxidative stress and inflammation inside muscle cells, accelerating the breakdown of muscle protein. A landmark study from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health tracking over 12,000 adults aged 60 to 85 for 14 years found that those with elevated homocysteine due to B12 deficiency lost muscle mass 3 times faster than those with normal levels. The homocysteine was literally dissolving their muscle tissue from the inside. Third, and this is perhaps the most insidious mechanism, B12 deficiency disrupts the production of myelin, the protective sheath around your nerves. When myelin degrades, the signals from your brain to your muscles become weak, delayed, or lost entirely. This creates a condition called neurogenic muscle atrophy, where your muscles waste away not because the muscle cells themselves are diseased, but because they're no longer receiving proper nerve signals. You might have adequate protein intake, you might be exercising, but if your nerves cannot communicate effectively with your muscles, those muscles will atrophy regardless. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 73-year-old retired teacher from Memphis, Tennessee. Eleanor came to me after her daughter noticed something alarming. Eleanor had always been mentally sharp, physically active, independent. But over approximately 10 months, she developed severe fatigue, muscle weakness so profound that climbing stairs required resting halfway, and episodes of confusion that terrified her family. Her primary care physician had checked her thyroid, her heart, her kidneys. Everything came back normal. She was told it was just aging. When we ran comprehensive metabolic and nutritional panels, her B12 level was 210 picograms per milliliter. Technically, this is considered low normal by conventional standards. Many labs call anything above 200 normal. But functional medicine practitioners know that optimal B12 for adults over 70 should be above 400, ideally above 500. Her homocysteine was elevated at 14 micromoles per liter. Her methylmalonic acid, another marker of B12 function, was severely elevated, confirming functional B12 deficiency despite the seemingly normal blood level. We immediately started Eleanor on 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin daily, taken sublingually under the tongue for maximum absorption every morning with breakfast. We also added a B complex to provide the other B vitamins that work synergistically with B12. Within 4 weeks, Eleanor reported feeling like a fog had lifted. Her energy improved. By 8 weeks, her muscle strength had noticeably increased, and she was climbing stairs without stopping. At the 3-month follow-up, her B12 had risen to 620 picograms per milliliter, her homocysteine had normalized to 8, and her methylmalonic acid had dropped into the optimal range. Her daughter called my office in tears. She said her mother had started finishing crossword puzzles again for the first time in over a year, had resumed her morning walks, and felt like herself again. Here's exactly what you need to do. If you are over 65, you need 1,000 micrograms of vitamin B12 daily in either methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin form. These are the active forms your body can use immediately without conversion. Avoid cyanocobalamin, which is synthetic and requires conversion steps that many older adults cannot perform efficiently. Take your B12 every single morning with breakfast. While B12 is water-soluble and doesn't require fat for absorption like K2, taking it with food improves overall absorption and reduces the chance of stomach upset. Sublingual tablets or liquids that dissolve under your tongue bypass the digestive system entirely and are ideal for seniors with severe absorption issues. Now here's the critical synergy insight. Vitamin B12 works in partnership with folate and vitamin B6 to control homocysteine levels and support muscle protein synthesis. A study from Stanford University School of Medicine found that adults taking B12 with a complete B complex showed 53% better muscle preservation over 2 years compared to those taking B12 alone. Your breakfast should include not just your B12 supplement, but also whole food sources of folate and B6. Eggs provide both. A small serving of cooked spinach or asparagus provides folate. A banana or a handful of sunflower seeds provides B6. This combination creates what researchers call the B vitamin muscle preservation pathway. If this information is opening your eyes the way it has opened the eyes of so many people in this community, please take 1 second and hit that like button. And if you are not yet subscribed, I invite you to join us. I publish evidence-based content specifically for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond every single week, and it is completely free. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a video. These 2 vitamins, vitamin K2 and vitamin B12, taken together every morning with breakfast, represent something extraordinary. They cost almost nothing. They require no prescription. They have no dangerous side effects when taken at appropriate doses. And every single one of the mechanisms I've described has been studied by real researchers at real institutions whose references I have placed for you in the description below this video. But more importantly, they work synergistically with vitamin D rather than replacing it. Vitamin D supports muscle protein synthesis, K2 directs calcium to bones and muscle tissue, and B12 powers the mitochondria and nerves that make muscle contraction possible. Together, this trio creates comprehensive muscle preservation that no single nutrient can achieve alone. I want to speak to you directly for a moment. If you are over 60 or 70, you may sometimes feel that the window for meaningful muscle preservation has closed, that sarcopenia is inevitable, that weakness and frailty are just part of getting older. I want you to hear this clearly. The research says otherwise. It is never, and I mean never, too late to give your muscles the nutritional support they have been waiting for. Your body, even at 75, even at 80, even at 85, retains a remarkable capacity to rebuild muscle, to regain strength, and to restore function when you provide the right building blocks at the cellular level. The goal here is not just longer life. It is more vital life, more independent life, more mornings where you wake up feeling capable and strong and present for the people you love. Your independence is not just about mobility. It is your dignity. It is your ability to live in your own home, to get dressed without assistance, to cook your own meals, to maintain the autonomy that makes life worth living. These things are not luxuries. They are your fundamental dignity as a human being. If this video helped you today, please subscribe right now. It costs you nothing and it means the world to this channel and to the community we're building here together. Share this video with someone you love. A spouse, a sibling, a friend who has mentioned feeling weaker or who worries about falling. You could be giving them information that changes the trajectory of their aging. Leave me a comment right now. Tell me your age and whether you've experienced muscle loss or weakness. Are you going to try vitamin K2 and B12 at breakfast starting tomorrow? Tell me, because this conversation belongs to you and I will be right here reading what you write. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. I'm Dr. William Li, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. You are worth it.